brainwave video by Judith Pennington was really interesting, and we'd just like to find out a little bit more about that and your experience. Basically, she made two fascinating comments. The first was that prior to meeting you, two of your students had different brainwave patterns to other Reiki practitioners that she'd worked with. The second was after your brainwave test, where she said she'd not seen brainwaves like yours in Reiki practitioners before, or anyone else for that matter. So, why do you think this is so? What's different about the type of teaching? And then perhaps you could tell us a little bit about why you think your brainwaves might have been different as well.
Well, first of all, we teach the system of Reiki from a spiritual perspective. And of course, many teachers claim this and say that they practice that. But what this means is that we teach the system of Reiki from a traditional Japanese approach. So for example, in Okuden, which means inner teachings or hidden teachings, doesn't mean that you have to find what is hidden inside something in a box or something. But what it really means is that you have to find and discover what is hidden inside of yourself. So the tools utilized in Okuden help you to discover what is hidden within yourself. And traditionally this is portrayed in the Japanese system of Reiki as a great bright light, the light of enlightenment. And so the symbols and mantras from a traditional perspective were utilized for your own spiritual development to help you to discover what was hidden inside of yourself, this beautiful great bright light. And so what we teach is that, for example, the first symbol and mantra is not to be used externally, but really internally. But also you need to do that over many months. So for example, the first symbol and mantra need to be practiced, say every day for 45 minutes, meditated upon, and maybe for a year or maybe for 2 years to really gain a very deep understanding of what it is about and to find what that is triggering deep inside of yourself. And so when we teach that to our students and we support our students in that to really feel and discover that, then of course their brainwave pattern will be very different than someone who utilizes these tools externally.
By different isn't necessarily good. So what is good about the difference?
Well, the difference is first of all, as Judith said already, is that she saw like an openness and an expandedness and an interconnectedness or a space of non-duality within, for example, my brainwave pattern. And so by really applying the system from this approach, what I've just mentioned before, we really start to see the system of Reiki as a spiritual practice where we can embody that really deep within us. And then of course our life becomes very different. The way we do treatments become very different. The way we do an attunement becomes very different because we start to really work from an embodied approach of this great bright light or non-duality.
She thought it was very different that you could tell jokes and even just having your eyes open in this delta state. She found very unusual. What do you think that's got to do with all of this?
Well, ultimately we need to embody our spiritual practice. First of all, we need to sit on our meditation pillow and practice the system as taught by our teachers. But then if we only can relax and be in this calm state in our meditation pillow, that is not really enough. We also need to practice so much that it overflows into our daily life. And then we can crack a joke and still be in this really non-dual space, in this open interconnectedness space. And if you look at all major spiritual traditions, no matter if you look at Japanese, Chinese, Tibetan, shamanic practices, their aim is all the same, that we can be this beautiful great bright light in our daily life, when we chop our bread, when we brush our teeth, when we drive a car, when we communicate, because only at that space really our life but also our community starts to change.
To me, that seems to come back to the idea of the Reiki Precepts.
Absolutely, and we all know the Reiki Precepts is do not anger, do not worry, be humble, be honest, be compassionate to yourself and others. So if we look at these 5 precepts, then actually that is really a representation of the great bright light. Because it's only in the great bright light that we can be in that space of no anger, no worry, being humble, being honest, and being compassionate. So in level 3 in Shinpoden, what means the mystery teachings, the level 3 symbol and mantra is actually just a symbolic representation of the precepts. They're one and the same thing. So the more we embody this for ourselves, the more we can really take that into our community. And it's only really then that our community can change.
Judith spoke about the treatment that you did on Deborah Harrigan, and that when you placed your hands upon her hara, that there was this immediate synchronicity and connection. Could you talk a little bit about what you think might have been happening there?
Yeah, hara literally translated means abdomen, but it can have many different meanings. For example, it can also mean center, but in other words, it also means your true mind or your true nature. So what it means is that center just below your belly button is a connection point to help you to discover your true nature, that inner beautiful great bright light. So of course, when a practitioner who can really be in that space connects with someone else through this center, then the other person has the possibility temporarily to also connect to that inner great bright light space of themselves. And then that unification starts to take place, where then hopefully the brain waves start to work at the same level, so that it becomes this oneness space. And in this oneness space then many different things can take place, because when we really in that oneness space there is an unlimited amount of possibilities.